You have joined us in the beauty of fall in Watercolour in Westport, Ontario. And if you could see out the windows, you would see the glorious colors that are unfolding on the trees. And today we have the privilege of having one of our homeowners with us. And like always with these podcasts, our vision is not to script and sell. It is to inspire you, to have you meet people who make this community the special place that it is. So thank you, Kent, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really a joy to sit down and have a conversation with you today and learn a little bit more about your story. Stephen, how did you meet Kent?
Kent and I got to know one another because Kent became one of our homeowners here in Watercolour. So with he and his wife Yvonne, when they moved in, we've gotten to know one another over the last few years. So it's been a delight.
Nice. Wow. Well, when did that happen? When did you move to Westport?
We moved in June 2022.
Okay.
So we've been here just over 3 years now.
Nice. And where did you come from?
Mississauga, Toronto.
Okay.
At the end, Mississauga, but typically more years in Toronto. So.
In Toronto. And had that been home for a really long time?
40 some odd years.
That's long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a town not much bigger than Westport.
Okay.
Down in southwest Ontario. And, as a small town and a young man coming out, I couldn't wait to get out and moved to London to go to school, and then moved into Toronto and worked my career there, and then came to Westport. So I feel like I've gone a full circle from small town to big city to small town again. And I love it. The small town was a great place to grow up in when you're younger. As you become a little older, it becomes a little more constricted, shall we say. And but now it's the peacefulness of it, and the things that you could do as a kid you can't do anymore. Like especially not in the big cities that we had the privilege of. That generation where you rode your bike down to the lake a couple miles away, you went swimming off the dock. Right. There was never parents around. There was just you were free as a kid. And the move here was what we were looking for. My career was done. My kids had grown, and Yvonne and I looked around and saw Watercolour come up, and came down, met Steve, and saw a couple houses, and basically bought one in a week or so afterwards.
Wow.
We were ready. And
yes,
we had to sell our house in Toronto, and it was a good time to do all that. And for us, it was the change of pace that we were looking for.
Had you been exploring kind of retirement? I think it's always a journey, and we hear from different people. It's really neat to hear your part of your story, that it was really quick. You made that choice. You knew you wanted to be here, but then other people, it takes them a long time to figure out what that best next step is for them.
Yeah.
Had you done a lot of legwork prior to?
We spent a lot of time looking before. We looked more southwest Ontario, because that's where I was from. Areas around Stratford was a possibility. We were looking for some place really that was going to continue to thrive. Right. A lot of small towns, as the people move out and nothing really comes in. The work-wise is more challenging. And Stratford with the theater, there was always the tourism people coming through, sort of like Kingston with colleges and universities and things like that. And then, with what was going on in Westport, you can see where that community is going to continue to grow. It's small, but it's close to everything you need. Kingston's 45 minutes, Ottawa's an hour and a half, or hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you got all the little towns like Perth and Smith Falls and Merrickville, and there's just lots of things to do. Yeah,
you're surrounded in a little hub here. Yeah. Had you, in your career, had you traveled a lot?
A fair bit. I was on the road a lot. I was in the beauty industry, so I did probably 20 to some years 25 trade shows a year. Pretty much always in the States and across Canada. So I was based out of Toronto, so it was easy to hop on a flight and stuff. But it was a lot of leaving Fridays, coming home Monday night, Tuesday, getting your work done, spending time with the family, and packing again on Thursday night and leaving on Friday.
That's a pace, isn't it? Yeah.
But it was exciting. So
sure,
it was in our industry, there was a like a circuit, you could say. So, you'd work in New York once or twice a year. You'd always work in Los Angeles and Long Beach. And there was a set of shows that you always did. And then there was a lot of smaller distributor type shows in smaller communities like Louisville, Kentucky, or Cincinnati, that kind of thing. So it was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was I met a lot of people. Got to eat a lot of good food over the years. But then, it was hard because it was also a time when our kids were young and I was gone a lot. So it put a little bit more pressure on Yvonne, but she handled it well, and kids were excited to see me when I went, and they knew I was leaving. So there wasn't a lot of, there was a continuity to it. So they got used to it. And, we did things when I was home, and it was good.
Sure, you set a different pace.
Yeah.
But the reason I asked that question is because as I've been talking to others, as we've been getting to know Watercolour in Westport, it's remarkable to me the number of people who have been so many different places and yet they choose Westport.
Yeah.
There's something special about this place, and I'm just curious to hear your perspective on that, because obviously you'd been exposed to a lot of other opportunities and options.
I think, you live in a big city, it's wonderful. For me, it was my 20s, my 30s, my 40s was exciting. It had everything that you could possibly want between the theater and rock and roll shows and dining and everything like that. But when you get past that point in your life and you think, well, I want a little bit more simplicity. I want a little bit more active things to do and more of a community environment. The city, you live somewhere, you might, know your neighbors, but you don't really sort of chat with them. You chat with them, you don't hang with them and stuff like that. Yeah. So small town has that vibe where everybody gets to know everybody and welcomes everybody. And I think that, again, with Watercolour for me was everybody came from away. So nobody was really a local, like in our community. Yeah. And so everybody was welcoming and curious and friendly, and I was in phase 1, so there was only 25 of us. So it really created a really good atmosphere. Yeah. And then when phase 2 started, then you start meeting people in phase 2, and so there's lots of things to do, and I think that it's the camaraderie. Yeah. In a city you say hello, and then you move along because you got things to do. Here, you go for a walk around the neighborhood. What should take you 15 minutes is 45 minutes because there's always somebody wanting to chat. And, so it's really wonderful.
Yeah, that's really kind of nurturing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We always talk about those incidental happenstance kind of meetings on the sidewalk and then you can have these, small interactions, but yet they contribute to your to the joy of your day and to the purpose sometimes even in your walks to the village. And you might not have known that your neighbor needed something, and then you find out as they're walking along, oh, they're going through something, and maybe I can be part of their journey in a more meaningful way than just that.
Yeah, the community is very, very supportive of each other.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. Yeah. When you moved to Westport, were you familiar with the area, all these other towns that you've talked about? No. So tell me about exploring them. Yeah.
We were going to go on a family vacation to the Saguenay.
Okay.
And we had a dog that was older and not doing quite so well, and we thought it was going to be a little too much for him. And Yvonne has family in Ottawa, so we thought, and she knew about Westport. And I said, okay, I'm fine, let's go. And we rented a cottage on the lake, just sort of in town, actually. Had a lovely week, and then we went back home, and we started. It was getting closer in time to me to retire and us to move out. Okay. And so we looked at Perth. We looked at Westport. We looked at not so much Smith Falls, but a variety of little communities around. I at one point wanted a little bit more property. I thought it'd be great to have a John Deere riding lawnmower and just do my lawn. I got over that one pretty quick.
Good.
I figured first summer it would be fun. After that, it'd be a chore.
It'd be a chore. Let's not do that.
And it was also part of it was being in the country. You're a little bit more alone in terms of.
Yes.
There's
more solitude.
Yeah. And which is nice on some hands. And then we also talked amongst ourselves and said, well, what if something happens to you or something happens to me? If you're in a town, you've got neighbors. And there's people that will help, or that at least you can go to, and things like that. And that's when things started to change. We looked more seriously at Westport. And then when we came and saw the house was an easy sell. I mean, they're beautiful, the way they're built and stuff like that. So there was never really a question about that. And then we spent a little bit of time in town and looked around and thought, well, yeah, we could probably make this work. And I think that it was the right move, because I don't think either one of us wanted to have 2.5 acres or three acres in the country, and then all of a sudden you're on your own.
Right.
And not that it's imminently close, but as you know, you're here for the duration now, in a sense, right? I don't see us moving again. So this is home. So we've covered our bases so that no matter what, there's and like I said, the other thing with the community is, if something were to happen to any of us in this community, everybody would be there to help.
Isn't that beautiful?
And that's something you only really get in a small town. You'll never see that in the city, unfortunately. But that's the way society just rolls, I think.
Yeah. I think there's some intentional things that have happened in the land planning for Watercolour that have contributed to the way that people are interacting with each other, whether it's your front porch or the fact that there are sidewalks to walk, or there's trails in the community. There's all of those physical aspects that then create the community, because people start to form habits, and those habits create a lifestyle. And it's just nice to hear. And you have a dog.
I have a dog.
So that helps you meet other homeowners.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of dogs in Westport, I will tell you that. We've got to know pretty much every one of them. But it's a walkable community as part of the marketing plan that you guys have got. And it really truly is. I mean, grocery store is a 10-minute walk. The restaurants are a 10-minute walk. Everything's 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I think it also, what you get in a smaller town that you don't get in a big city, is you want to be outside. Right, you somehow you find that reason. When the city, you drive home, you get out of your car, you go in the house, you worked all day, so it's a different headspace too than being out here and not working. But I think it gives you the desire to be out, and then you have time to chat with people. Whereas before, it's I got to get in, I got to make dinner, or I got this, or the kids got to go play hockey, or whatever it's going to be. Right. You still have that in a small town. But the pace is so much different.
Do you keep up some of your pursuits that you had before in terms of any kind of recreation or activity that you enjoy?
I do more now here than I ever did. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think, I traveled a lot, so I wasn't around to do a lot of things. But here, we kayak. We just picked up golf again after a very long period away. Bikes and hikes, and it's just there's and we're campers too, so it's easy to get away from here. You try to get your trailer out of the city, it takes you an hour before you really see green grass and trees. Here you're already there.
So, 5 minutes down the road and you're at a secluded spot, or
and you have the access to everything. Like I said, Kingston's not far, Ottawa's not far, Montreal's not far. Airports are really close enough. Right, it so it gives you the opportunity. If you want to go to Europe, then you go to Montreal. You want to go west, you go to Toronto. Whatever it's going to be. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, I think that proximity piece has inspired us also to try to reach people who are working remotely, who want to have a home in a place that is more calm, tranquil, and yet work in an environment that they're connected to, wherever workplace they need to, by those that proximity to airports and everything else. When you came into Landark, did you have a wish list of things for your home, or did you buy one of our move-in ready homes?
I bought a move-in ready.
You bought a move-in ready? Oh, tell me about that.
We came in to look at, you're going to ask me lot numbers. I won't remember, but it was one of the back splits on the other side of the street from us on Shelter Cove. And it was, we saw the model home, we saw the home that we bought, and the one beside us, and this other one that we actually had a land deposit or a deposit down on. And loved the home. Certain things about it weren't quite right for us. Like it just think, I think we could make it work.
Yes.
We were told there was a lot reservation on the house that we ended up buying at the time, and I went home and talked about getting the basement finished on the back, or the walkout, and then the Opinacon came open, and we basically said, okay, we'll take it. Well, because it had 3 bedrooms, it was all on one floor, which is really what we were after.
Yeah.
It had a wide open basement to do whatever we wanted with.
Nice.
We've got 2 boys, and Yvonne at the time was working from home. So she got the front office, we had a spare bedroom, and then everything like that. And it was an interesting thing. You know, we spent more time in the model home. We walked through our home, and we're in it for maybe 10 minutes total. And then looked at the other 2, so it was a little bit strange, you know, buying a house of that stature in that short period of time.
Yes.
But we knew, you could see the house. It had all the elements that I thought were really neat. The rounded molding on the walls, the triple pane windows, the a simple little thing like walking in the basement in bare feet in February and your feet aren't cold.
We quoted your line this morning when we were doing a tour of the Crosby.
Don't you love it when they say it for themselves, though?
I know.
This is unscripted, folks. We do not make people say things. That's beautiful.
Then you knew the house was built right? And so it really wasn't a hard decision. I mean, when we drove home from here after seeing the homes, we thought, okay, can we make this one work? Can we get the basement done? And will it still hit the budget that we were sort of looking for?
All those practical considerations have to be. Yeah.
And really, it was because we wanted the third bedroom or second bedroom for when the boys come home. So this one had the 3 bedrooms. So really, we could make it work the way it was and didn't have to do anything. And we did refinish the basement within about, I don't know, 7-8 months, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So, and now we're really happy. Got a big workspace down there, and
nice.
It all worked out well.
And it's finished already. I think even if you buy a home that the basement isn't finished, it's already to that point that any finishing that you do, so much has been done.
Yeah.
Right?
And it was Kent who gave us the line. Can you repeat the line? Something along the lines of, your lower level living area, the floors are warmer than my main floor back home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, we lived in a 70s back split. So we had 4 levels in Mississauga. And, you know, certain parts are really warm, certain parts are really cold. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, in hardwood floors, you know, hardwood can be warm, hardwood can be cold. And I think that we just sort of, I don't remember exactly how I said it to you, Steve, but it was remarkable to me that the basement was that warm.
Yeah, and comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's big windows down there, you know. If, you know, as anything, after you live in something for a while, you can think, oh, if I only had this, would have been perfect, you know, that much more perfect, I guess. But you adapt, and we're really happy here and have been. And like I said, this is the home that we plan to stay in.
That's so exciting. It's nice to have that sense of permanence too, because it is time consuming. It's financially, you know, expensive to move, and to think that you could age in place.
Yeah.
You know, it's peace of mind. And I think, like you said earlier, that you and Yvonne know that, God forbid, when something should happen to one or either of you, that the other person will be in a place that they can stay.
Exactly.
And they don't have to face that alone, you know, that transition again.
The houses are nice size. They're not massively big, and they're not small.
Right.
So like for us, I think we're 1660 on the main floor. And so it's you don't run into it, you know, when you want a little privacy, you can find it. And you're not running up and down the stairs all the time. And as you get older, it becomes more of a challenge. Although my mother, who lived to be quite a ripe old age, loved stairs because it kept her younger. She'd be at the cottage, and it was fairly steep stairs, and she was going up them at 90, and it's like, okay. But it's that thing, you got to keep active. Sure. And I think, again, the smaller town gives you the opportunity to stay more active. And now with the new trails coming in over here on the mountain and things like that, I think it's going to be wonderful.
Give you that extra cardio and fitness boost, and now you're back to golf. Where do you play?
I've only been to Evergreen. It was it was like almost 40 years since I played golf.
Okay.
So we figured just that the way things were going, and I needed to find another activity. and a lot of people in the neighborhood golf.
Yes.
So I just thought we'd give it a try, and we've gone out a few times thinking, yeah, I can see this now, going back to it. So
it's a nice little 9-hole track. It's not far.
Yeah, well,
clubhouses.
Evergreen, and we got Rideau Lakes over there, and one outside of Perth. Smith Falls got a couple. So I think you can travel around a little bit, and it's much more reasonable than the city ever was to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because I think sometimes the attainability of some activities keep you out, right? And you think, okay, I don't want to justify thousands of dollars in a membership, but I'd like to be able to play a game and socialize and have the opportunity. Same with hiking, and we've often talked about that. Integrating these trails is an accessible activity for people's wellness. Yeah, Stephen, do you have any comments or things you want to bring out of this conversation?
Oh yes, many.
I know, I've done all the talking. It's my turn to say.
Oh, that's okay.
Over to you, Steve.
Can you tell us what your annualized energy bill is, plus or minus, or about? Kent?
It has gone up a little bit in the last year or so, but the actual electricity that we use every month is about $60, averaged over the year.
For heating, cooling, water heating, everything. Then
you have your delivery charges, your taxes and stuff. So
sure. I
would say it's probably about $120, $125 a month now for everything. My electricity bill in Toronto was probably closer to $250 every 2 months, and then I had gas on top of that.
And this is in a house, you said the footprint of the Epinicon is over 1,600 square feet on the main, and you finished another 800 square feet in the basement. So we're talking a 2,400 square foot house.
Almost 2,500 square feet.
You're heating and cooling and utilities for $120 a month.
It's really quite remarkable.
That is.
It's when you get your bills in the winter, they're higher, obviously, but then in the summer. And we're not huge air conditioning people. So, and the other thing is once the house gets to a temperature, it just stays there, right?
Help me understand what you mean.
Well, like we typically set our house winter and summer around 22 to 24.
Okay.
And the furnace kicks in when it needs to, or the heat pump, and as does the air conditioner. But it's not, if you go away for a couple of days, and if you wanted to shut down the system, you come home, you're only going to be down a degree or two, even in the middle of winter. And it's the thing about living in the country. I still consider this part of the country. You have ice storms, and you have a lot of things that can happen by nature. And the hard thing is, in the city, if you lose everything, your houses just get cold fast.
Yeah.
Here, everybody has their own opinion on how it works. We've never really gone through it, which is nice. But, I figure probably a couple of days before you really feel any difference in temperature. And then it's still going to be not bad. We didn't do solar. I don't have a generator or anything like that. I've debated both ways of looking at it. I've seen some battery-operated generators that are pretty slick, that could handle running your fridge and things for a few days. Yep. Temperature is going to stay relatively warm, and you can even run a small little heater from it if you needed it to. And so I don't really think too much about it. When we initially talked about moving out of the city, and I have friends of mine that live out on Georgian Bay. They've got a big Generac system because they're traveling a lot, and so it kicks on so everything just keeps the same. I think that we've had a couple small power outages here in town, and they've lasted 12, 14 hours. They've always been in a pleasant time of year, so it's not really such an issue. But I have confidence enough in the house that if, maybe after 3 or 4 days, like the ice storm when it was 7 days without power, it might be a bit of a challenge.
Yes.
But then if you have to, you go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I understand what you're saying. I think that until you live the experience of a net zero ready home that is built to these standards, you can't really understand. We say that sometimes too, that things have to be experienced to be understood. And now you've lived it, and you have the experience to say, I trust this house. I can sleep. I've got peace of mind. I know that if something happens, I'm still going to be, living in a livable condition for an extended period of time. That then, if after that I needed to make changes, I can.
You go somewhere else and grab a hotel if you needed it,
right?
Wherever there would be something like that.
Yeah.
But I would have to be a fairly long outage for that. And like I said, the winter, the house just is always the same temperature. So you're inside. It's you always think of winter. You're gonna have to put a sweater on or something like that.
Right. Yes.
To keep the heating bills in line. Well, here it's still t-shirt or shirts and stuff like that. So
yeah, and you're very comfortable. How have you found the maintenance side of the house in terms of maintaining those mechanical systems?
Haven't had to do anything yet. It was part of the reason of buying a new home, was that I didn't want to have to deal with a roof in 5 or 10 years, or a new water heater, or a new furnace, or all that kind of things. And when you're younger and working, you think, okay, well, I got to make more money, so I could put on a new roof. Now, and I think it's a peace of mind that you just relax and live your life, as opposed to worrying about all the little things that could go wrong.
Mm-hmm. I think, Kent, I was thinking more that some people find when they hear, I'm going to buy a net zero ready house, that they assume that there's a complexity there to the house and its mechanical systems that would then be something that they need to, do an uptake of a big learning curve and figure out how to run this house, but that's not been.
I will admit, it was a little challenging on the very first with the ERVs and the systems that ran it, of understanding how it worked. But people from Landark and from Valley Heating, Daryl was, whenever you needed him, he was over and let's fix this, and they got everything tuned in, and since then it just goes. I mean, you get a notice to change your filter or clean your filter, so it's like you don't even have to diarize anything anymore. And they're easy to clean, right? You just take them out, you rinse them through, you dry them off, put them back in, and away you go.
Wow.
And you're one of the
great.
few homeowners who really embraced and got this whole idea of set and forget.
Yeah.
And no offense to anyone else, it's just like for many people, myself included, and our friends Lauren and Doris and many others, the whole idea of stepping back the furnace at night so the bedrooms are cooler, it's not necessary, and people get used to that too. So yeah, I
think some people like their houses warmer, and more the extreme. We just like I said, we're not air conditioning people, so our house is not something you're going to find cold when you come into from a hot summer day.
Right,
but it's pleasant. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not damp, and it's dry. The dryness.
Yeah, the humidity very rarely ever goes above 48 in these houses. It's typically, our house anyway, it's like sort of 42 to 48. The basement can get a little bit more humid. But I run a dehumidifier when I need it, like down in the TV room or where my little office is. And it doesn't happen very often, but then all of a sudden it's back to...
Yeah. So I do have a bunch of questions for Kent. So we want to talk about the healthcare system.
Yes.
Yes. So would you care to share in your own words how you found the healthcare system here, Kent?
Well, it's been an interesting year. I don't want to get too personal about it, but last Christmas... Yvonne broke her leg on Christmas Day. So we had a little trip to the Perth Hospital, emergency on Christmas Day. The kids were a little unhappy because dinner wasn't served.
Imagine.
Oh, dear. Well, when they've been looking forward to it for 364 days, I can understand on that day that they would be disappointed.
So, we drove up there and you got everything taken care of. And then she got put on with Dr. Roberts, who's an orthopedic surgeon, I guess. Okay. And I know a number of people that have actually seen him, and he did amazing work with her and got her back on her feet fairly quickly. I had a heart attack in May. Out of the blue, and sort of the same thing. I had just got involved with Country Roads clinic here in town. I've been without a doctor out here since I've been here. So it all happened at the right time. They checked my blood pressure, it was a little high, got me on some medications. 3 weeks later I had the heart attack.
Oh dear.
So it was very early, 3:30 in the morning, something like that. And, the ambulance was at the house in 15 minutes, which I thought was remarkable. They took me to Perth, saw the doctors there and said, no, you're in the stages of it, so we're going to send you right to the Ottawa Heart Institute. Put me in another ambulance, sent me there, and the care was amazing. I was in, I think, my recovery room by 8:15 or 8:30. So to my point, I mean, that's Ottawa, so I you'd expect a little bit more there. But the opportunities between Perth and Smith Falls for the hospitals here,
Yes.
they're smaller.
Yes.
They don't have quite the amount of staff that, say, a big hospital does, but they also don't have as many people coming in. So the service to me was quicker, more personable than in a big city like Toronto. I over the years, you spend a lot of time in emergencies with family and parents and stuff like that.
Yes.
And to wait in an emergency room in Toronto for 12 hours is nothing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, the healthcare there is as good as it is anywhere. And I think the first responders are amazing people and helpful and caring no matter where they are.
Sure.
I think in a big city, they're just overwhelmed a little bit more. And so it's you're like a number, get through. Whereas out here, it's still the same process, but there's a little bit more personal approach to it, I think. And for us, it was really quite remarkable. And it was a fear of coming to a small town. It's like, what if something happens? What do you do? And now that I know that it's like all my fears are gone from it. I had 2 different ambulance crews that took me, talked me all the way through. We laughed and joked, and and then it got me there. And like I said, the Heart Institute, they just took me right into the room, did a couple tests, and then put a stent in me.
Wow, I am so thankful to hear that you got that kind of level of care, and that here you are, all these months later, thriving, doing well, and that the response times were exactly what you needed. Yeah.
And I think that, the Country Roads is a great little medical facility in town, and their sister one in Portland. They offer so much in terms of nutritional things and even how to cook certain things. They have lots of classes and things.
Oh, okay.
And I think I just saw one that I think the Westport Senior Living is doing with them about, I think it was cooking for diabetes or something like that. So that if people are having that problem, helping them get their nutrition more in line. In the city, yes, you have it, but how long are you waiting for an appointment?
Right.
And so for me, I can only speak my own thing, but when the doctor said, I'm going to get you a test, I get a call the next day that we send it in for the requisition, and then I get a call from Kingston's 4 or 5 days later, we got an appointment for you in a week. I'm not seeing that in Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bash Toronto because I did love it and still, but it's just how things work, I think.
Well, it's reassuring to hear your story, and I thank you for sharing that, because so many people do ask us, because it's an unknown fear, and when it does happen, it becomes known to you, and for you to share, just how things unfolded for you is really, I think it's assuring that the infrastructure is here should you need it. The paramedics are here, stationed in Westport. I do know that.
Yeah, I think they're only here. They work during the day and they don't do transport.
Okay.
But they are, if you have a problem, they're there first and determine if you need to be transported. Then they call in one of the trucks, from what I understand.
Okay. So they have the capacity to do that triage, to take the first vitals.
They'll get you taken care of.
And that's wonderful.
And at the beginning of the podcast, Wafa, you've said this before, but it's funny how today I just thought of the words that often come to mind. We do the podcast because of inspiration, but also motivation, encouragement, and challenge. Because I think so many people, we would love to invite them to come and experience the difference, this small little humble town makes. And we're just so lucky to be able to be a part of this town. We don't think we're doing anything special building homes. That's just what we do. But we're in a special place, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And unlike any place, I think my wife and I have been to about 54 different countries over our years of being overseas before we had kids, and then being involved with different Christian ministries. And there's just something so different about the feeling we get here in Westport. And to hear your story is inspiration, motivation, encouragement, and challenge maybe for someone to come check it out for themselves. But now another story I'd love for you to share, because I often quote you when you're not around. So this time at least I get to shout you out you're here. Another story you told me about national parks. And can you tell us why we have all these chairs here?
Well, one of the things when Canada had its 150th birthday in
Yes.
4 or 5 years ago, I guess, what the national parks did was they put red Muskoka chairs in various spots in their parks, usually whether it's a lake or a marsh or something. So when you're hiking, there's somewhere to sit. And it's always two. They were always together, and they were always in a spot that was you'd see the beauty of why you're out there in the first place doing the hike.
Yeah.
And usually a fairly wide vista. So, we did camping last year out east. So we did a number of the national parks in New Brunswick and PEI and stuff. And then you walk around, oh, there's the red chair. So you sit in it. Just, even if you don't want to sit, you sit for a minute and then you take off. So when Steve and I were chatting, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I guess, and we're talking about the mountain in the back.
We call it Rolston Mountain.
Yeah, we call it Steve's Mountain, but yeah, it's whatever it's going to be called. And he was telling me about making little seating areas up there because it's such a beautiful view from up there. And we were just chatting away, and I told him about the national park chairs. And I said, the nice thing is red chairs, you see them from everywhere, right? They just stand out.
They do.
It's Canada's color. You can't beat that. And you don't really need anything else with it. And so it was interesting. I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, I got up and I was looking out the back window because I can see up the mountain. And I go, oh, there's 4 chairs. Oh, there's 2 more. There's another 2.
And they're red.
And I thought, okay, well, I guess that sort of made sense for Steve. And I think it's one of those things where it's recognizable. Yes. It's very Canadian, and we're all proud to be Canadian and have that little bit of influence out there. And I think it's a special little thing that whether you're from town or from out of town and you're going for a little walk, and it becomes definitive of an area to me.
Has it been a place now that when you go up there, do you notice people using the chairs?
I've seen a fair number of people sitting on it. Nice. It's still been sort of semi under construction, and so I go up on the weekend sometimes. But it's and I think that what they've done what Steve's done up there with the little path roadway going up and the circle up there, I think for the community it's going to be wonderful. Yeah. Because the view is spectacular from up there.
Nice. You can say to your neighbor, "Let's go for a walk and meet up at the chairs or whatever." Yeah. That's great. It's a nice investment in the community too. I know we have benches along the stormwater ponds, and as well benches on Harvest Creek Trail that are meant to give people an opportunity to pause.
Yeah.
Too. Sometimes we get out there and we keep moving, and you think, I'd like to just take this in for a moment, and it's nice to have places to do that.
And this is why we want to have a homeowner association meeting, even though we don't have a homeownership group, but we've had them in 3 other communities, and we learned the hard way about the advantages and disadvantages
of a formal group.
Right. Whereas I often say Peter Manelli is one of the wise men in the first phase, because he worked with Parks Canada and the Rideau Canal Waterway, that once upon a time, John Buma, Joe Aragona, and Peter were the 3 wise men who we would ask questions like, will you guys help us, bring this community to life? And I had the pleasure this weekend of hosting my mother-in-law and father-in-law, who also, I will always ask for help because I think I'm just trying to stumble and fumble and bumble our way along. But we want to have a homeowner meeting with Francois and Allison catering it again, the way we did in the spring, to just explain how in Bedore Farm we have 3.5 kilometers of trail, and all the homeowners are looking after the trails. So we have a spring party clean up the trails. Those guys with chainsaws go do the chainsawing, and trail wardens, Rideau Trails. The Rideau Canal has 200 kilometers, but also the Rideau Trail is about 300 kilometers of trail. And those trail wardens that are responsible for their kilometer or their 100 meters, if it's behind their home or whatever, that's what we hope to share with people, is that's through the creativity of our community, and I mean that. I'm always learning from others, and I'd love to share with others. Mark Lakeman is a community activist in Portland, Oregon, and he's created about 600 gathering places. So he too, I'd love to have everybody watch his little TED Talk or listen to his podcast on the regenerative real estate podcast, just so that people could be like, oh yeah, we have agency. This is going to be our land, because wherever Diana and I walked in all the communities we lived in before we settled, we were in 7 different communities, and you just take over the developer's land, whether he wants you to or not. Like, all the dog walkers are going to find those trails. Why not bring them into the public domain?
Right.
And that way, with the perimeter trail, everyone's going to have access to it in perpetuity. And the other trails may change a little bit as the houses move along. But why not put it all in the public domain now, so that people can be using those trails if they want to?
Yes, and you were talking about connecting part of the Rideau Trail, were you not?
Correct.
With Randall.
And with Randall Goodfellow's help and Mark Snyder's help. Again, we always want to shout out the originator of these ideas, because that's just fair and right and good. So Mark's always dreamed of getting a connector trail from, say, the Cove over to the Lions Club Beach. And hopefully that is coming to life this fall, with Randall spearheading it and many others spearheading it now, to get permission to cut not just a high trail on Foley Mountain, but a low trail around Mill Pond. So I think when he gets his permissions, then we'll have a press announcement that our trails exist as part of the Blue Trail Network in conjunction with Rideau Trails.
So there'll be even more to explore.
Yeah, and that way people can walk up to see Tim and Ashley Studley and visit their farm.
Yeah.
And Samantha Buma was here this morning and saying, she has gotten to know Ashley Studley, and it would be nice if all our homeowners could go get their fresh eggs, by walking up to the Studley farm.
Okay.
So that's one of our dreams, along the lines of Serenbe, having their agroeconomic development as part of their community.
Into the community, yes.
Is we don't have to invent great restaurants like some of these other places.
It's so true.
And we don't have to invent a fake organic farm. We have a real one, and we have other farms that are in the farm to table movement that are all around us, that are a part of the greater Westport area. So.
We're fortunate.
Unbelievably fortunate.
And the other thing, with the amount of people moving into the community, the amount of ideas that come is incredible, because everybody worked in different industries, everybody lived different places, different experiences, and it's interesting when you start chatting, oh, I did this, oh, I did that too, and that kind of thing. And there's always ideas to make things better. And the nice thing is Steve's open to all ideas. Not going to do them all, but
no, but the bright ones that we can, we're going to put red chairs out there. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
But and I think like the trails, like when we first moved in, the trail around Harvest Creek was a part of the selling point. It's a 1 kilometer. It doesn't seem like a kilometer, but it was the perfect spot for a quick dog walk before dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
You can hear the creek running through it, and you get the back, there was the fields in the back, you see the deer back there, you can let the dog run in through there, and then you come home and you can have your whole walk and never really leave the property.
Yeah, and there's something really nice about that you don't have to get in the car to go somewhere to take, take the dog out for that walk and enjoy nature and get to know the space. When it comes to the development, Steve, I think one of the things that has come out of this conversation is an understanding for giving feedback. And I think for Landark, we've got an open door. Come, talk to us.
And so many great ideas have come from homeowners. That's why basically we thrive when I think a lot of other builders are not going to survive and they're not thriving. But I don't think it's too hard to just treat everyone like you want to be treated, and listen and listen and listen. Because I don't think I have any great command of all the good ideas. No, I don't think I have very many good ideas, but I'll always shout out people that have them.
Yeah, I don't. I beg to differ on that. I think you have lots of good ideas.
Yeah, but they're probably borrowed. Like Picasso was famous for apparently having said, there are no original ideas. You're always borrowing other people's ideas and you're modifying them to the way you interpret them.
And we do that. I mean, I know that some people have tried to sort of fit watercolor into a peg and say, okay, you're like this, but we actually do draw inspiration from so many different places. And we've done an episode in our podcast about those various locations. And today we've talked about a couple of episodes that we have Randall's been a guest of ours, and so has Mark Snyder, and they have contributed to the conversation about the trails and the development of the space. And I think it's inspiring to hear their stories. So.
And Ken, do you have any encouragement for people to check it out? Like, is there anything you would want them to know? Sometimes Wafa asks that, and I'm always surprised at what people say, actually.
It's a hard thing to sort of quantify in a sense. I mean, you call it life-changing move to move here. It might be a tad extreme, but it really is. It's a simplicity of living here. The houses are simple to operate. It's simple to make friends. The town is big enough to cover all the needs that you really need, and places to go outside. I think it was for us, it was, like I said, once we moved here and got settled in, you can't imagine being somewhere else. And when you look out at the sky, it has the bluest sky you can ever imagine. Mm-hmm. And, I joke all the time, it's always sunny in Westport till it's not. But most days it is. And the clouds and the night skies and stuff, and it's inspiring and very calming. And again, you live in the big cities, you'll never see it. Mm. And I think that's part of the cleanliness of the air, of the water, the amount of lakes that are out here, and the opportunity to be, and I think I'm rambling a little bit, but the opportunity to keep yourself physically active is easy. In the cities, I got to go to the gym, or I got to go to the rink, or the golf, or whatever it's going to be. You have to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And here you really don't. And if you want to, there's lots of trails, there's lots of things around, and I think that it changes your lifestyle. And as we get a little bit older, I think we all need that little change of lifestyle. As the doctors keep saying, you got to keep active. You got to keep active. You'll do better. And in the city, you don't have time to be active. Mm-hmm. And so out here, you do. You eat a little different. You walk a little bit more. You breathe fresher air. It can't help but be good for you. In conjunction with that, yes, as Noah Garcia, Pam's husband, has said, here he just has 10 hours more a week because he's not driving to and from work, and another 10 hours of not driving his kids here, there, and everywhere. Yeah. So he's got like 20 hours extra every week. And that's practical, physical, quantity and quality time that he now gets to spend with his family. It makes you happy here. And I can't see anybody who could not be happy here.
Well, on that note, you've heard it all, folks. Happiness starts here in Watercolour. And thank you so much, Ken, for joining us today and for the time that we can share with you as our listeners. We encourage you to join us on the journey and come and visit Watercolour. You can follow and like and share this podcast with your friends and family members, and just feel welcome. As soon as you walk in the door to our model home, you'll be able to meet our sales team who are there just to inform you and inspire you on your journey. Thanks for joining us today.